Bruce Gordon, author of the book The Spirit of Attack, and here are some flying stories about what happens when fighter pilots with a spirit of attack go into the Alaska bush with light planes. In the early 1960s, I flew F-102s in Alaska. We flew in bad weather on short, icy runways, and we lost 5 F-102s in the 3 years that I was there. I took this photo of my wingman flying past Mount McKinley in 1962. We were a proud bunch, and we had the spirit of attack, and we had great leaders that pushed us forward. The motto of our 317th Fighter Interceptor Squadron was, "Only the spirit of attack, born in a brave heart, will bring success to any fighter aircraft, no matter how highly developed the aircraft may be." We applied that motto to our daily flying with the F-102, and it carried over when we flew light planes. When I joined the squadron, our 24 assigned pilots owned 13 light planes like this Piper Super Cub with a 150 horsepower engine and great big balloon tires. With these tires, one could land on unimproved roads, you could land on stream beds, on the sandbars, and go fishing. We could attach skis to the Super Cub so that you could take off on a dry runway and land in the snow. The problem with skis was that they were fairly heavy and quite expensive, and we young fighter pilots simply didn't have the money to pay for skis. One winter morning, 2 of our pilots decided they would go ice fishing across the Cook Inlet, where there's some nice lakes right across from Elmendorf. They didn't have skis, but only a half-inch or so of snow had fallen at Elmendorf, and they figured they would land on one of the frozen lakes across Cook Inlet, cut a hole in the ice, and go ice fishing. They flew across the inlet, found a likely lake, and went down low to get a good look before trying a landing. There were tracks on the snow. Someone had been there before them, so it looked good. They put down their flaps and came in for a nice landing, and suddenly, whoop, they were upside down, hanging from their shoulder straps. They unbuckled the shoulder straps and got out and stepped into deep snow. They were standing there looking at their wrecked airplanes when along came a dog sled. The musher asked if they needed help. They said yes, they did. So he led them to his rustic log cabin at the edge of the lake, where he and his wife spent the winters, cut off from the rest of civilization. The musher and his wife had very few luxuries, but when our young pilots went out to the outhouse, they discovered one great luxury. The toilet seat was lined with beaver fur. In 1964, a major earthquake hit Anchorage and Elmendorf, which was right beside Anchorage. This is downtown Anchorage at 4th Avenue, where you can see places like the D&D bar had fallen about 10 feet. The back edge of McLean's camera, where I bought my photo supplies, had fallen off, and the whole place was later made into a parking lot. The base itself suffered. Here's some housing that fell off a cliff. A few days after the earthquake, someone noticed that we had had no communication at all with the town of Portage, which was even closer to the epicenter of the earthquake than Elmendorf. We had a doctor called the flight surgeon assigned to our squadron, and he proposed that one of our bush pilots fly him down to land at Portage and see if the people needed any help. The flight surgeon and the pilot piled into the last of our 13 planes, the only bush plane that had not been wrecked so far, and they flew down to Portage. They got there and circled around and saw that the town had suffered pretty badly, but the road leading to it looked like it was good enough to land on. So they came around, lined up, and landed on the road. As they rolled out on the road, they suddenly hit a large crack. The plane swerved off into a ravine, and that was the last of our 13 bush planes wrecked. Our pilots may have not been very safe pilots, but by golly, they had the spirit of attack.